Where are you, you little midget machine? What? How do you lose a 1465? Ah, lose it by putting it right in front of my face. Right. Hey, Sutter, Jim. Welcome, Jim. Fancy you being here. Let's get the proper numbers up. Come on. Good job. Hopefully I did things right, and yes, we did reflow this. Not reflow it, we did clean this up. Well done. Matthew, stuff isn't boring. It's boring when it's not board repair stuff. No board repair, no fun. Hey, Six Skills. Okay, is this camera being stuffed around with? Hard to tell. Alright, so this is the Lemonade Express unit from about a week ago. And we would have actually had this finished quite some time ago, except the parts that I wanted for this were in the courier package that went for a bit of an extensive ride in the driver's van. Like, did 3 trips to get to me, even though it should have been over in 1. Okay, so this is completely jacked up, so that you're out. Need to get the spare parts. Okay, so it's new battery. New flex. I even washed the DCM board. It came up pretty good. Let's see, was the keyboard needing replaced? I don't think so. This flex here, I don't think it did. We do need to replace the keyboard on this one. Oh, I forgot about the trackpad. That's going to bite me. This one would be Lemonade. If it was Monster, with this sort of coverage, the whole thing would be on fire, based on our previous experience. So this is really more of a replace type job rather than a repair job. See, 320. I'll just mark it so that I know where it came from when I look at it in my pile of batteries to recycle. Alright. The main board and everything doesn't really need to be here. So including that, the fan. Let's split this open now. Hey Rustlin, by the way, thank you very much for that comment. You will probably have noticed that it has been removed from YouTube, but that was just me taking it away in the interim. It's nothing against you, of course, as long as you understand that. I would hate to think that you think that I was trying to censor or eradicate you. Nothing of the sort. James, good morning. UPS, unspecified packages services. Well, it was really frustrating with that package because I knew it had been into town, and I know from past experience that they are notoriously bad for not delivering it if it gets past 3 o'clock, because they're like, oh, the banks don't want us to hang around, the banks want us to take their money back to the big city, and as a consequence everybody else gets shafted. So it looks like the banks win again, as always. No worries, Rustin, thanks for that. Let's see. Someone was asking me about what looks like a 1398 repair, and now they've gone quiet. Right, so this is a little bit new with this particular keyboard. On the 1466s and things like that, there's a channel for the Wi-Fi to run down, but on these ones, it's this series of tabs. I gotta admit, that's annoying as hell. At least their adhesiveness means you can pull them back. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you do mess up this backlight assembly, but you try not to. Okay, so we can get this Wi-Fi out of here. Oh, that is a tricky. I don't like that. See now. Those tabs are part of the actual Wi-Fi. Oh wow! And now I'm getting lemonade all over my hands. What I presume to be lemonade. Let us hope it is. That is not going to be fun to put back together, to be honest. Get the speakers off, and already I've got junk on my fingertips. Shall I wash it off? Hey Warren, welcome. Barry and Shad's here. Morning DC. Luke. I'm probably going to be saying good morning for a little while yet as everybody arrives. Tell you what, those spammers were going crazy last night. We actually got up to 13,000 views last night. But the telling part was that the average view time was about 2 minutes, which means it was predominantly just spammers. If it was legitimate viewers, then that view time would have been quite a bit longer. But yeah, 13,000 all up. And I probably got about, I don't know, about 50 new subscribers, of which 49 would be spammers. It's just the way it goes. Yeah, the chat was a bit chaotic. Hey Bruce, how's it going? Man, what a name. You got an Australian name and you're in the US. Well played. So we're just going to do this keyboard like we do the others. Just lift up this bottom edge of slightly adhesive tape. And then we will use the standard bench weight. Come on, you little mongrel. It's always got to be one, doesn't it? It's like when you're trying to undo the bolts on a crankcase or something like that. And it's all going well until there's always going to be one that decides, nope, I'm not going to play along, I'm going to get stuck, snap off, force your have to heat me up to cherry red, weld something to me to get me out. There's always got to be one. Just get this started. Okay. And then we bring in the hot air. No job scam? No, I'll try it again. Still no job scam. It would appear that job does not want to be identified. It's a secret job. Anyway, it's a 1465. It's a modern one. It's got the 164 board in it. It's a job we've worked on before. Okay, this one's actually, there we go. On the verge of, hey, something walked past. Phew. Whenever you heat these things up, you can always smell the kind of deodorant that people wear. You can usually work out a lot about a person based on that. For instance, you can tell that they wore deodorant. Yeah, that's kind of messy. And it's pretty much gotten through all of this. This is going to be fun. Maybe I should wash it under a tap with, what was I say? Wash it under a tap with a wooden brush and some soap. I saw someone was doing that. I don't know whether it was a joke or intentional. I mean, it does work for a short term, but I do worry about, particularly depending on what your water quality is like, you can end up with a lot of salt deposits that you really don't want. So if you are going to wash, yeah, this will do. If you are going to wash your keyboard, just make sure you flush it at the end with distilled or deionized water. If you don't, and if your water supply has any mineral content, you will not have a happy keyboard after a while. I think the reason why they didn't, for those of you who have seen the video, the reason why they didn't use alcohol was because the alcohol would probably cause some issues in terms of, it probably has a solvent effect on some of the parts in the keyboard. So water was the correct course of action, but I think they need to flush with distilled or deionized water. No. It was my wife that was walking past. Knew I saw something in the peripheral vision. Hey ITC. And engineering scales here. Hey, how's it going? And Travis, you're working on 3D printers. That's something I haven't really gotten into as yet. Probably should one day. Well, before I rip this up, I really should disconnect it from the trackpad. There's a little bit of trash on there, but it doesn't look too bad. And yeah, I know people have told me use tape, but honestly the reason why I don't use tape is it just takes me as much time anyway. Put everything into the ultrasonic if you can. Oh, this one feels a little weaker than, yuck. Honestly, this is like I had a whole can of Mountain Dew emptied on it. There we go. I have found it is worth keeping at least one of these. There was, the other day I had a customer machine and it had just one dead key, or one key that was missing a keycap and the seesaw assembly. And so because I already had one of these torn off, I was able to transplant that seesaw assembly. And because these are original keyboards, it means you should be able to take that mechanical assemblies and transfer it across. Should. There probably are some variations, but probably not as much as the sort of variation we see amongst the third-party keyboards. Okay, this is an exceptionally sticky assembly. I almost do want to stick this in the ultrasonic. Hey, Paul Ziam. Matthew Fox, trying to work out what you're saying exactly to. Hey, Karen Tippett. Good evening to you. Well, unlike the other night, this one looks like most of the rivets actually came out cleanly, which is nice. It definitely felt a lot easier. When it feels easy to rip it off, you know that you're getting more rivets out than you're leaving behind. Because when you're not getting the rivets out and it's just tearing the ring around the top of the rivet, that's what makes it harder, because you're actually tearing the metal rather than pulling the plugs out. Now, the downside of ultrasonicing this is I'll have to take the microphones out, because you really don't want to ultrasonic these microphones. This will fit entirely into my ultrasonic cleaner, there's no problem with that. My ultrasonic cleaner is pretty big. It easily will cover this whole area. I could put a 13-inch keyboard in there, no troubles. What do you put in place, Luke? We put little screws that we buy. You buy them in packs of 100 or so. And because this is a aluminium type alloy, it's not too hard to... The screws just cut their own thread in. Oh, it gets me every damn time. I forget every damn time. No matter how many times I do this, I always forget that I need to remove the ones from the chassis, not from the trackpad. But every time I forget, and so I end up having to do 6 screws per side. Oh well. Polzium, no, this is a 1465. Up you go, there you go. So it's basically the 11-inch version of the 1466. I'll see if the status update works. I don't know why it's not bringing it up. Shouldn't be any problems with it, but it certainly seems like it's complaining. I gotta look over my glasses like an old man. That's certainly weird. Oh well, I'll just manually do it. It has loaded the data and it is showing, so OBS for some reason doesn't want to do it right. Echo... Barcode capture, OBS data. There we go. That'll do. Almost need to ultrasonic my gloves. I'm half contemplating ultrasonicking this, because it is completely covered with the syrup as well. I'm just not sure how it will go. Maybe the better option with this would be to just use water on a paper towel and pat it down and absorb up the excess. I just feel like if I put this through the ultrasonic, it will cause the adhesive that's joining the front and the back layers together to just come apart, and then I'll end up with a useless backlight. This one here, the thing I need to check is for alignment marks. Okay, so this one's not so bad. In the microphone, have you got nubs? No, you don't have nubs. You mongrel. Okay, there's no nubs down there. I thought there were. Yeah, engineering, I feel the same. I would do it by hand as well. It just feels like I'll be pushing my luck. Okay, can I? Yes. Okay. I hope that survives the process. Hey Mark, welcome. Good evening. So we'll heat up this edge, slowly try to get this microphone cable out. We don't want to pull on it too much because the tension on the cable will tend to cause the contacts of the microphone to break off. There you go. So and this is only 250, so it's not a problem in terms of risk of reflowing it. Evan Lopez, Arizona, eh? I may actually have to put a spudger down there. I got the feeling that this, like its 1466 brother, there's a rolled edge along here, and so you can't pull the whole cable. The width of the cable is greater than the space that is available, so you actually have to tilt it out before you can get it. So I'll use this, try to get in under it. Jeez, they do not make that easy. Some strong adhesive. Unfortunately, I don't have anything substantially longer. And now I've got the problem that the adhesive has cooled down and I can't get it off my spatula thingy. That's better. It's too fine. You wouldn't think this would be so hard to get out, would you? Polls, you can always send them to me. I'm guessing you're talking about them being PCB dock Protel ASCIIs. If you send them to me, I can actually look at them right now. Especially considering we're about to do some ultrasonicking. Alright, into the ultrasonic it goes. Now, oh, cracky, you're a little heavy. So it takes opportunity to see if there's actually another board I need to ultrasonic. looks like I've already done it. I only will need to put this in a short time. I'll just put some wire through it so that I can retrieve it with ease. Yeah, no trouble fitting that in there. We're only going to go 1 minute at a time. Oh, sorry everybody. I'll just give it 1 more minute. And I need to get some water in a funnel. Not my fault if you don't have your own PPE. This is going to be as precarious as hell. I've got a 20-litre container of water which has about 8 litres left in it, and I need to decant 250 millilitres. I think I might actually do it on the floor. Alright, that's it. That's over for now. Depends on the fault for the turnaround time, but anything between 3 days to a week, and then of course the postal time in return. Full stop. Right. Anyway, so I've got to get this rather. So this is how I get my. This is my deionized water. Normally, a civil person would have a tap for here, but I don't. So clearly, I'm not a civil person. But yeah, I'm going to decant it into here. It's going to leave a bit of a mess on the floor. That's okay. I'm sure I can live with that. I think, maybe. The biggest problem is going to be as soon as that water hits the funnel, it's going to want to tip over. Oh boy. Well, good thing it's not hydrofluoric acid, eh? And if you don't know what hydrofluoric acid is, then you need some. You clearly haven't watched Breaking Bad. Okay, that's good. Hydrofluoric acid is actually a marvelous substance, but it's a little bit terrifying. Very good for decapping caps. Decapping chips. Okay. Happy to report I didn't spill anything. Oh, better take the... Yeah. So yeah, this gets fun when I'm going back and forth around different jobs, mix up things, forget things, which can sometimes result in circuit boards sitting in ultrasonic cleaners for a little longer than they're rated for. Okay. I really need another camera so you can see what I'm up to, but, well, we don't have one, so such is life. So it's now just washing out in some rainwater. Well, it literally is rainwater. That's a pretty good job. SpaceX and 2.5. What are they launching? Just more Starlink, or is it something different today? We'll have to watch that. I could move the face cam, but it's always such a pain to... If you've got to move your cams around, it's probably not a good idea. Much prefer to have just a separate cam that's over there, which will activate when I tell it to. Hey, yes, how's it going? Starlink? Okay. Well, in that case, we should at least still get a landing, so that's what matters. No one cares about the payloads. Everyone just cares about, does the first stage make it back? A DGK. I shouldn't have put it face down onto that dirty mat. I should have had some paper there, but we all make mistakes. That is looking very nice and clean now. Absolutely no stickiness at all. I'm just going to put this into my reflow oven for a couple of minutes. Well, not reflow oven, my drying oven. Unfortunately, being an 11-inch, it does just fit. Okay, start. That just ramps things up to about 125 centigrade. I won't keep it in there for the full 20 minutes, which is normally what we will see or do with boards that have been in the ultrasonic. We only want it in there for about 5 minutes and then we'll take it out because it's going to be hot. Okay, so the next part is we need to clean up this backlight system, which is why we had to get the water out, because we don't want to use alcohol on this. Hey, Jack Scar. Okay, so this is just water. Well, so engineering models, what sort of interesting things have you done lately? Or what are you working on lately? We are picking it up, and you can probably see that discoloration there. Evan Lopez, thank you very much for the 10. Thank you, that is greatly appreciated. I mean, certainly always appreciate people being here, but thank you also for the contributions. Look at the kitty cat stuff and me. Hello, Careless Islander. Thank you very much for being here. The kitten with the strange ear wound seems to be doing fine now. I was a little worried there because it was taking a little bit longer than expected to heal, but it all came good. Oh, that reminds me. Thank you for mentioning that, Aruna. It will be about ready to come out now. It's been 2 minutes, okay. But we are at 150, 120 rather. Just realised I don't have an emergency stop on this other than yanking the power cable out. But yeah, it sounded really terrible. That's just this squeaky oven door. Okay, I think I've just botched this up. There's a whole lot of haze on it and I don't understand why. The good thing is I do have a spare, so if I've botched this up, I do have a spare. Yeah, there's a whole lot of haze on it. I'm not sure what it was. It's hot. That much I'll give it. Let it cool down. Yeah, it's definitely there. Yeah, it's sort of like a white haze, almost as if it was mineral deposits, but it shouldn't be that. Or almost like a aluminium oxide layer, which is possible. Yeah, it's definitely there. I can see it. It's definitely there. You can't see it from the top so much, but from an angle, let's see if I can. Yeah, just sort of, it's all over it. I said it could be aluminium oxide. I might have to give it a rinse with a slight acid or something. It was certainly more severe when it was fresh out of that oven. Like even a weak vinegar solution might work. Jimi Hendrix. Well, it seems to have gone now. Well, yeah, it was like an extensive build-up of aluminium oxide layer. Yeah, that whitish layer, but it has gone now. Anyway, well, that looks and feels like brand new. Well, all aluminium does, particularly atmospheric aluminium that's exposed to atmosphere does have a coating. I mean, that's what makes aluminium so interesting, is that unlike iron, aluminium's coating is complete and it ceases oxidizing very quickly. It's actually very hard to get pristine aluminium for very long. No, there should be no difference between aluminium and aluminum. Just name change, name difference between countries. Hey, Keith McDermott. It may be that the MacBook aluminium, the actual top deck, has a fine coating of its own, some sort of, I don't know. But it'd be a little unusual. Try cleaning with gallium. That's a brilliant idea. I'll throw in some mercury with that too. In fairness, yeah, the term aluminium, while it sounds better, I do believe it's, from a technical perspective, isn't quite correct. But since I'm a dogmatic English person, so to speak, I'm going to stick with it. And if everyone else forces up to have to use stupid imperial units, or because we don't speak American, then you can put up with me saying aluminium and solder. In Spanish we say aluminio. Okay. I'm trying to think whether I should put the damn microphone stuck to the plastic top. What? What kind of night? What is this, little house of horrors? God damn. Kapa. Okay, you're gonna have to stay there. Thankfully, I put those marks there because what you don't realize is that with the microphones, you don't actually have, because there's no alignment pins, you can't tell when the microphone hole is over the hole of the frame. So if you're out by 0.5 millimeter, your computer's going to be deaf. Did I get that email yet? Time to check. Ah, cool. Okay. Let me put the microphone in, and then we will go and have a look at these board views that were generated. Okay, I think we're really going to have to take this out. Damn it. Right, now I'm just covering this with the icky sticky again. This is tricky because I have to basically have 3 hands here. Okay, 3-handed man. How handy. It's actually very hard to see. Okay, I can just see the microphone element in there, so we have lined it up pretty much right. You can see the reflective part of the microphone pickup. Probably doesn't show up on the camera because it doesn't have the dynamic range to see it, but I can see it, so we're good. Yeah, Paul, I noticed that. It was like, well, thank you for not casting those little spigots in for me to use. Alright, let's have a look at Paul's board files. I'll just bring it up. What have we got? Board text. Okay, I'm just going to start with board.txt. Normally we do label these PCB files. It doesn't matter though. Hey, Teresa. Should cover the thylacine guessing cookie. Ah, you didn't have to do that. Thank you. It was a bit of a guess because it didn't look like a proper dog to me, and I couldn't think of any other animals, Australian animals, that had such a mouth structure. So it was more of a deduction thing, a elimination thing, than it was a guess. Let's see, downloads. mvbrd.txt to brd.pcb, gvim brd.pcb. I just want to have a look at the actual contents. Hey, any 555. Okay, schematic. Alright, so this is the BRD file, PCB doc. Okay, and that looks vaguely familiar. Certainly I remember all these exclamation marks. Error opening. No. format is this? Whatever format this is, I can actually still use it by the looks of it, since we have... But I swear I've already written a decoder for this particular format, because all the exclamation marks are being the delimiter. Is something I remember. So maybe I've just got another format to write an importer for. Not sure, Paul Mara, I didn't look. Okay, so 5,000 lines. Oop. It's interesting that it gave you 3 files. Normally when we do a PCB doc export, it should just be the 1 file. Allegro. Okay, and I see you got sim text. Okay, so you got 4 different files. They're all different aspects of the board. You should be able to have a consolidated format. What is it? Protel ASCII doc. Oh. Well, what you can do is email me a screenshot of all your export options. That will probably be the easiest thing. But I'll have to have a look at this format and see if I can't make use of it in another way, write another importer. There's no harm in that. I don't mind writing new importing modules, particularly when it's text format like that. So what I would do in this case, you'd probably have to keep all of those files, like the sim text, board text, pad text, RT text, all in a folder of itself. And then if you load any particular one of them, then I would have to write an importer that goes and looks for the others, consolidates all that data, and then generates a board out of it. But because it is plain text and it's readable, it's doable. The ones that we have a lot of trouble with are the ones that are binary and usually database type format, so you really don't have a clue what's going on. You can make some guesses, but it's painful work and people don't want to do it, and I don't blame them. Yeah, sorry, I saw what's happened in my email viewer is that Google did something different with the first one, the sim text file. Alright, let's get back on to rebuilding this keyboard. But yeah, if you can send me a screenshot of all your export options, I should be able to point out which one I'm fairly sure should work directly with the current Flexboard view. Alright, here we go again. I need to knock the temperature down because this is going to be some serious, intense work. Hey, Pro Engineer. Oh, the export isn't from the software itself, it's from a tool they include. Oh. Do they not have an export option or save as option in the main program? So that tool you've got is just a converter, so you say file in, file out type thing. It's something different. Yeah, be curious to have a look at the options you've got there. But certainly within the Allegro software itself, it should have an export as or save as, and hopefully a number of reasonable formats, of which one I should certainly be able to read. Most of the times you lose information when exporting, and Allegro is happy to have that happen because they don't really want you shifting your work off to someone else. But we don't mind when it's Flexboard view or board views because we really don't need that much information. You can make board views with just network names, part names, pin placements, and that's it. So as long as the pin has an associated part and a position and a network name, you're done. You can build a board view from that. And if you want to look pretty, you can get a export of the actual board outline as well. So you really don't need a lot of information to generate board views, but they are all oh so useful. Gonna send a screenshot? Okay, cool. I'll wait for that. To be fair, I think all EDA tools are a pain to work with. You prefer Eagle, do you? Okay. Eagle has... With Eagle, you can export to FabMaster or Fabricator. I never remember if it's FabMaster or Fabricator. GenCAD is a very good format to export to. Hyperlinks I can also read. And the reason why I'm able to read those is because I've got Eagle, and so obviously what I would do is export all their formats and then use them myself. Look, yeah, there's a whole bunch of people who thumbs down by default. They don't even watch the session, they just thumbs down. It's like they're sitting around in stealth. They get activated as soon as one of my videos go live, and they get up out of bed, even if they're dead tired, and they come along and make sure they hit that thumbs down button, because they are dedicated people. They put all my fans to shame. They're more dedicated than the fans. I have noticed my thumbs down ratio is getting a little bit bigger lately. I'm not really actually concerned about it. It was just more interesting to note that it's getting bigger. Are these the screws that go into deform? These ones that I'm putting in right now are actually the original perimeter screws. So these came out when I disassembled the keyboard. But all the interior ones, yeah, they have just a flush hole for where the rivet was, and you have to apply a little bit of force when you're putting the screw in, and it will cut its own thread. But the perimeter ones are easy. Other than the fact that I accidentally put one in the middle there, everything looks okay. Wait, I'm missing like 1, 2, 3. How can I... Okay, I've got one on there. Something's going on in this corner here. I have to have a look at that. It's not seemingly sitting down right. What in the heaven's name happened there? I genuinely do not know what's going on here. The keyboard itself appears to be... Okay, this does not make sense. Naturally, of course, I find this after I have put in all the screws. The universe wouldn't have it any other way, of course. Looks like Robin's sidekick is here. Okay, that is just funky weird. Okay, I know what's happened here. That is the remnants of a screw. The head has actually broken off clean there. Well, not clean, but actually very not clean at all. Yeah, see how I can rotate that? Okay, to do this I'm going to need a very fine flat head. Yeah, where did I put those damn things? So very rarely use flatheads. I probably eat flatheads more than I use them. Yeah, it's almost not even sheared. It's just kind of... it's weird. Yeah, partially cracked off head. Crackhead. Yeah, it'd actually be trivial if I had found that before I did this. A shorter screw would have been nice. Yeah. Okay, we can go out of focus, but still... just got to keep coaxing it around. Phillips? No. Easier if I just turn the whole keyboard and then I can poke it. Like this. I think. Maybe not. Do not make me have to take this keyboard off, you lousy little... Aha, there you go, yeah, a bit of yelling. $100 dogs. Oh, come on now. Ugh. It's got to be so close. I don't even know how that would have broken like that, to be honest. That's vanished. Crap, where did that go? Oh, there it is. No idea how that happened. I didn't want to use snips. Oh, you mean just to grab it and rotate it? Ah, Kristen, why'd you have to bring up that old wedding singer song? Okay, so now we need some fresh screws. Yes, they are Wero drivers. It should be around about enough. Yeah, Barry, I was just lucky it felt funny. It wasn't lying flat. It's kind of like when you pick up an iPhone and it's got a swollen battery in it, and you can just tell, even if it hasn't actually split the display assembly away from the frame yet, just when you hold it, you go, oh, this has got a bulge in it. And it's not much of a bulge, but you can tell. Anyway, this was a far more aggressive bulge. It just wasn't sitting flat. Just going to put a little bit of paper under here. Like a stone in your shoe, very much, yes. It feels ginormous, but when you do eventually get it out, you go, it's a little piece of sand, but certainly lets you know and makes things uncomfortable. Hopefully I do not run out of screws. That can be very annoying. Otherwise, what I'll have to do is steal some from another keyboard deck. Because obviously, all the perimeter ones will work as well for the interior. What the hell? Someone's sending me please bro messages in YouTube on the chat. So I get people replying to videos that are a couple of years old now. I'm like, I have no clue whatsoever about anything about this laptop. I wouldn't even remember having done it if it wasn't for the video. So I really can't help you. Yeah, Martin, it would be an impressive bit of engineering. The thing that, in terms of small scales, that really does get me are the tools or the drilling heads that put the holes in the PCBs for the vias on things like iPhones. I mean, that's just incredibly small. Everything must be absolutely right. And I'm pretty sure, they're high-speed steel bits or whatever. Or, yeah. But those holes are tiny. I mean, you're talking 0.1, 0.15 mil. And somehow they managed to drill a few thousand of them in each board. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're drilled. I mean, unless they've got some sort of laser technique, but I imagine the laser would be a problem because the carbonizing of the fiberglass would probably prevent the bonding of the copper that goes through the via. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they're drilled. I mean, on a normal circuit board, you probably get vias down to 0.25 of a millimeter, 0.3. 0.3 is probably pretty normal. That's no problem. But on the iPhones, they're just so much smaller. Even if it's CNC, I mean, obviously it's CNC, but just being able to have that level of precision and to do so many of those drill holes per board, that's a lot of work time per circuit board. I should have a look at the blanks I've got. But I don't think they've got, oh, maybe they actually have got to the point where they've got views. I'll have to have a look. Cutting it close here with the screws. Because I forgot I got all these down here. I do have a couple more in the bag. But damn it, come on. This poor Wero driver's wondering what in the heck it did in life to be forced to have to do all these. Yeah, Christian, I'm not exactly enjoying it myself. It's certainly not... You know, I'd rather be able to just buy a replacement deck. And sometimes I do get replacement decks. I've got a couple of like 1398 decks or 1502 decks. Just easier to swap them out. It's more just the frustration of it taking so long. And no sooner do you think you're finished, you find yourself looking at another row of empty holes. Hey, DJ Craze. Hey, Tradie Trev, how's it going? Ooh, we got the photos, have we? Oh, cool. We got some photos. I don't know if the images are small or what. There certainly seems to lack a certain number of export options there. I wonder if there is actually a module you can activate or download for Allegro to provide the export facilities. Anyway, you can see why I want to pay money for someone to accidentally leave me with either a spec or an implementation on how to decode the binary Allegro format. Because it would save having to make everybody do what you're having to do here, which is find an export option. At least the upside is once you've exported that board once, then everybody can use that new exported version. Running out of screws. To be fair, at least with MacBooks or these ones, you can do this. You can rip out the old keyboard, screw in the new one, because they do have the metal rivets, and the rivets are separate from the casting of the top deck. As opposed to a lot of the PCs you get now, where they use those plastic nipples, and then they just overlay the keyboard and melt the nipples down to mushroom them over. And so when you take the board off, even if you are careful and heat up those little standoffs, you almost never get the keyboard back on nicely. So with the PC stuff, unless it's a nice drop-in keyboard replacement like the old Toshibas and HPs, then you're kind of stuck with having to get a whole new deck. Sticker off because there are screw holes under it. But I certainly did prefer it when you could just unclip the keyboard from the top of the laptop. Every now and then a few of them would have a couple of screws going in from the underneath of the deck, the underneath the laptop, like the HPs often did that. But that was it, it wasn't anything overly complicated. You could do it and the replacement would be just as, be fine. I got screws stuck on my fingertip here. Alright, now we have the fun task of making sure we've got everything. Make sure we haven't left off. It's pretty damn good. Yep. That should do the trick nicely. Should clear up that. It's actually on the keyboard, because otherwise what's going to happen if I put it down here, probably, no, actually, spilled some stuff. Yeah, I don't have many screws left. Looks like I better order another 1,000. Okay, squirt some all over the deck. It's a little bit dirty. It's better. And now I'm getting some vapors. Switch over to the water. That is not what I wanted to do. Seems disinclined to come off, particularly up in the back corner here. Alright, so be it. Ideally, you'd just get a fresh one of these every time, but ain't got time for that. see, Mark Rescue. If you have any scrap 12A6 top decks and have spare time, there are over 100 of them. Well, oh, and the screws, yeah. Well, pretty much any of that series of laptops, like the 1466 and all the rest. Now the next drama here, and I feel a little bit confused of how I'm meant to be doing this. Artin. Okay, the confusion I'm expressing is due to the fact that this Wi-Fi flex, it has to loop in through the back of this chassis. Like magic. People saying, but Paul, you're a magician. It's like, yeah, that guy's dead. Try not to break the flex. Which flex? So many flexes. This is certainly a lot trickier than the 1466 decks. Considerably trickier. And I think part of that is because of the small scale. But see, all these Wi-Fi retaining things, they all have to... There's a fine... I can't really show it to you, but... Yeah, it's there. Oh yeah, the Dell center pin being very thin. Yeah, that is a major pain. And I've just noticed that these have to go on first before I can put them into there, because if I put the screen on, it blocks the path and the way is shut. The Apple engineers make it, the way is shut. So it's meant to go back like that. This is freaking sorcery. Sorcery. Alright, so this is the trick. There is a slot just down in here, and we have to convince little Mr. Pull tab here, there we go, to do that. And it's bollocks like this that makes me wonder who the heck is running the efficiency department in the Apple factory. Because how can this possibly be remotely efficient to do? The only thing I can think of is that they felt that the cost of doing it properly, so that it'd be quick to reassemble, quick to assemble, was greater than how disgustingly cheap the Foxconn label was. That's kind of scary when you think about it. Well, I've got to find... okay, so that's my next slot there. Yeah, this is going to be hilariously enjoyable. I'm going to guess that in the factory situation, this metal mesh gets put on after. Jeez, I can't even get my... There we go. Wrong way? What? What do you mean, Mark? What do you mean? The one on the left that hooks over the hinge screw is... what? Yeah, now I can't tell if Mark was being serious or not. Okay, so that's the next slot point. It's almost like I need to prematurely bend those up a bit. Flip-de-doo. I'm trying to find the ideal lifter for this. You'd think the mongrels would just pick spots like that, which they have in this one, rather than the ones that covered in that metal foil. Yeah, see, I mean, if I'd done that, that's easier. Oh, right, Mark. Jeez, you almost made me make life-changing changes. All good. Yeah, they're a bit dirty. Okay, so there's another one there. See if I can clean up that plastic there. It's got a little bit of gunk on it. Oh, there's really not that much room. And Mapienko, thank you very much. Well, kitty cats and rainbows and lollipops. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do it that way. Let's see if I can't rotate the screen out of the way. Kind of like this. And that way I don't have the clutch cover of the screen hinge area obstructing with me trying to push this thing through. Barry, of course I'm not. Don't you know, you do MacBook repairs out of the love. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We've got some technique. Or at least I think we do. Come on, you mangy little... So, what was I saying about technique? Okay, so it's the last one there. Don't push that out. Naturally, the last one has to be difficult. Different pair of tweezers. What is the matter with you? It is surprisingly difficult to grab this stuff under the microscope at times. I know it always looks easier from a viewer perspective, but it's generally a lot harder than it looks. Okay. That was a pain. Yes, it is all rather technique in the whatever. Where'd that board go? I need to check my alignments here before I tie down those things. Guess you're gonna be there. Mostly I'm just worried about the reach for that. Feels a little short. Now I'm unsure, damn it. I made a bit of a mistake here in the sense that I'm not sure whether the cable is supposed to go onto the backlight side or whether it routes around the front, or rather closer to the clutch cover side. I have a feeling it might be clutch cover side. Could be wrong though. Wouldn't be the first time. Certainly won't be the last. Okay, we've got our distance back. Yeah. That was fun. Let's get our hinge screws back in. So T8s. Hey Sudi. Hey Mohammed. Ah, you mongrel. Just realised something. Okay, should be. I've put the Wi-Fi grounding plate in the wrong place, in the sense of it's trying to get underneath between the hinge and the... That's better. It was trying to get between the hinge and the body, but it's supposed to sit on top of them, not between them. Okay, one slightly loose hinge. The backlight side, really? Blast me. Why do I have to be wrong on so many things? Hey, it's Soul Shop. Okay, I'm just going to verify again with you, Mark. As in, you're saying that this is incorrect and... Oh, I see now. There is a routing path there. I didn't see it before. Damn. Make sure I don't hack these cables up. Just enough flex in there. I did not see that routing channel under there. Still feels kind of weird. No. Just need to check my phone, see if anybody's messaged me, like my wife, important people, things like that. Especially considering it's already past midnight. Again. Trackpad. Put the hinges in first. Align the... It's not too badly out of alignment, but it's just slightly. Jim. Alright, thank you very much for dropping in, Jim. Looks like we might get to yours tomorrow again. Yeah, AJ, normally that is something I would do. But you still manage to have things slip past. Kind of like when you're pulling a car apart. Like when I was replacing the whole top end off my Falcon EF. And there were still things that I somehow managed to not take photos of when I needed to. That was frustrating. Okay, I need to check the trackpad, see what sort of state of affair it's in. I mean, I could, if I wanted, rewind, but it's not very effective. And the resolution isn't that great, so camera shots are certainly much better. Okay, so we've got a little bit of the lemonade or whatever it was there, but nothing too severe, so we just wash that off. think we're good to go. Really, I probably should have put the trackpad in prior to reassembling everything, but sometimes you make mistakes. And I'm really good at it. Making mistakes, that is. Hello, Nicole, are you? Paul, no, this is, well, for now, we've just been replacing the keyboard, but the machine itself was we had to rework the motherboard. We had to clean up a whole lot of lemonade. It's been pretty much a complete overhaul. Which, in fairness, probably isn't something you would normally do on a 1465, but the person has expressed the wishes that they do want to retain the machine and they do like the machine, so they would prefer not to be without it. Okay, I've got a bit of a screw misalignment going on here. Gary Matthews, I usually get started, or I start talking to customers around about midday. Courier deliveries start anything from 9 o'clock onwards. I've got to do micros, insulin injections at 9. So what often happens is I crash at around about 2, 3 in the morning. Then I'm up at 9, deal with the first wave of things, and then get another hour or two of sleep, and get up and get ready for the 12 o'clock start. And once the 12 o'clock start thing usually happens and I get local customers coming in, I don't get to get back to this sort of work until about 9 o'clock that night. Sometimes if I'm lucky and I don't have any people walking in, I can get back to doing the MacBook repairs earlier or during the day, as occasionally you will see. But overall, it's difficult. Mostly because of the interruption factor. Now, I know people are going to be saying, well, Paul, right now you're streaming on YouTube. That can't be. Yeah, it's got to be a bit of a distraction, and it is. But It's not quite the same as a customer distraction, because with the customer situation, you have to sit down, listen to what they're saying, or you don't know what you're going to be dealing with, and you are under obligation to try and resolve the issue or start the new job or something like that. Whereas with YouTube, I can just sit here and waffle, and if there is a part of the job that I'm involved in that needs my concentration a little more, I'll just ignore what everyone's saying and focus on that, and then come back and scroll back and have a look. Barry West, $15 to help defray the pain of special delivery parts. Oh, good God, yeah. I've got more deliveries that they have still out for delivery and not here. This time it's a bunch of hard drives and other cabling, so it's more for the IT side of things. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing, but it's driving me mad. And I think the worst bit is that they don't take you seriously when you call up and say, look, I've got a package, it's missing. I'm not a one-off customer that just happened to buy something on eBay and now is like, where's my eBay package? I expect packages most days, and the driver delivers most days. So I'm only calling you because of the fact that something is out of the ordinary. And I just wish they would respect that a little more, take it a little more seriously. And sort of go, oh, okay, there. And then actually action something. But instead, you basically have to go full Karen nuclear to get their attention. And it drains you, it really does. And honestly, if you don't get on to them, then that package will probably just languish there in their workshop for the next 6 weeks. They're not going to pick it up and go, oh wow, we haven't delivered this. They're just going to go, yeah, it's a package that we kick when we come to work each day. Oh, what did I miss? Oh, we got the rise of the gamers, I see. What is it about the gamers that they seem insistent on coming in here and trying to get you to go to their channel? I mean, it's like, I'm not even in the gaming section. It's like, how does it even... I guess they don't care. I guess it's just... they go everywhere. Andrew, yeah, those people can be very difficult. You see, there's a difference between nuisance callers like that and trying to sort something out before it turns into a catastrophe with the freight, isn't there? I mean, we all do get our nuisance callers or emailers. I am very grateful for the fact that being my own boss and having a fairly decent amount of work, that I can now explicitly deny certain jobs from being taken up. Some people you just know straight away, you go, right, you are going to be a difficult person, and it's within your rights to go, look, I just don't want to take this job on. Your personality and my personality, you don't tell them this, but you know that there's going to be a personality clash, and it's better to just let the job go to someone else. Of course, that someone else is probably going to yell at you because you did that to them. They'll be like, this customer went to you before, didn't they? And you told them that you're not going to do the job, and you sent them to me, you bastard. Sometimes that's the best way to get back at your competition. I forgot there's a screw that sits under this board, always. Wayne Ashford, yes, I saw that with regards to the cardio watches and stuff like that. Yeah, but in all honesty, you know that the politicians are, yeah, they're up to their necks with that stuff, and really they're just calling out who they think they can get away with calling out and not have anything blow back on them. As far as I'm concerned, for the majority, they're all equally culpable or guilty of that sort of behaviour. The only honest politicians you get are the ones that haven't yet entered politics for the most part. It is sad. I think the way it is at the moment, even if you go in as an honest politician, you'll very quickly either be spat out of the system intentionally because you're an honest politician, or you'll just become like the rest of them. I don't think it's it's certainly not a very healthy industry to be in. It certainly has its benefits for as long as you can get away with it. I mean, their retirement packages, they're just crazy good retirement packages for a lot of them. I find more often than not that politicians also tend to become suddenly very honest once they're no longer in office. Hey, Microfix. Yeah, the system reinforces the corruption, and they're certainly not going to do anything to stop it because they're basically, would you pour petrol over yourself and light yourself on fire? No, you're not going to do that. I think it would take an extraordinary person to put an end to that sort of thing. And I don't believe we have anyone like that. Well, certainly they're quite rare, and if they do turn up, they're probably going to get executed, sniped, poisoned, whatever. People like that do not survive. I don't think it's sort of like an intentional conspiracy theory type thing. It's just more a case of people, if you're perceived as a threat, people are just going to find ways to ensure that you get dragged down. They'll feed you to the media or something like that. Three weeks to arrive from Perth to Brisbane, Roger Dodger. Yeah, that sounds about right. My flux took about that long to get from Perth to here. And yeah, when they tell you, then they say, well, you as the constituents have the greatest power because you can vote us out if we haven't, if you feel like we haven't done our job. I mean, that's just laughable because really, I'm sure it's all just a nice, convenient roundabout for them. Like, oh, well, g'day, Fred. Yeah, how's it going? I got voted out, but hey, it's your turn to now be in. Remember to give me those kickbacks you talked about? And away it goes. The process begins again. Did this have a solid state drive in it? For some reason I can't find a drive for this one. I'll have to go back to the original video, but I don't seem to have a drive for it. I mean, I'm not worried. Because it's going to be in here somewhere. Any 555? Yeah, two sides of the same coin, precisely. Thank you for putting into words what I was trying to think. Or rather, I should say, thank you for presenting a far more succinct version. Nearly as long as passed from the UK. Yeah, that was fun. At least we did get that in the end, Mark. Thank you very much for helping out on that. That got me out of a pickle. And would you believe I still haven't got the ones that I ordered from China? I did get refunded on one, so that was good. With the other one, I don't think I'll ever see the light of day of that. Yeah, Barry, I'm not sure. That's the thing. And, I know I sticker everything when I take it out. So that's why I'm not panicking too much. Typically the drives for these, they're quite different and long. So they're not easy. Well, you certainly don't easily mistakenly put them in another person's machine. That's for sure. Oh wait, no, these are wait, I was thinking the earlier model. These ones you do. Whoops. Well. I was thinking the 1369 or whatever it is version. The earlier version. Hey Dylan. Okay, so what is it? 320. I'll have a quick squiz around. Because normally I keep everything together, as a single cluster of parts on the floor or on the shelf or something like that. That's another reason why it takes a very long time for rubbish to go out of this room and then out of the house. Because I'm always worried that there's going to be something that accidentally fell into the rubbish or that I just absent-mindedly put into the rubbish or put in a box and then the box got thrown in the rubbish. And so I hold on to the rubbish for a long time in case something like that happens, and then I can just go digging through like a deranged ferret and save my bacon. Okay, here we go. Green light, power immediately up. That's not a good sign actually, because the battery's plugged in. Shouldn't do that when the battery's plugged in. We've got nothing showing up on screen. Did I plug the keyboard back in? We'll give it another minute and see if it comes up. I mustn't have plugged the keyboard in or something. Buy a fan connect for the 1286. Usually you should be able to just pull them off many other boards. Or you can be like some people and they just solder the fan wire straight on. I'll wait till it boots up. The fact that it's actually running really slow, I'm pretty sure I'm starting to think I didn't connect it in one end. That end's connected. What about the trackpad end? What if the trackpad is also dead? That'll be frustrating. I got a little cocky and a little lazy, and I screwed everything in before I tested it. Rookie mistake. Looked at the other video, 320, there seems there was no SSD in it. Michael Diode, thank you very much for that. For that, you get yourself a blue tag. Thank you for that. Yay, someone didn't plug it in. Where are you guys on that? Just letting me languish there? Sweating? Pull your... Yeah, Arnold, I actually want to turn that off, but I have to write some software that will help me do that properly. There's a lot of programs I need to write to improve the things that I feel are not good enough. Story of my life, really. I will admit it actually gets quite frustrating after a while because you're like, damn it, why doesn't someone else just write this for me? I'm sick of writing my own software to fix bugs or fix things that other people haven't done for me. But I shouldn't complain too much because I do enjoy writing software most times. Alright, let's try that again. Arnold G, 10:30 a.m. going fishing in the afternoon. Oh, what sort of fishing? Reef, sea, beach, estuary, river, fly fishing, lure fishing, bait fishing. Ed, yeah. I don't want to be that good though. Well, I do, but like I said, it just gets a little tiring at times when you're constantly running into these dead ends and you're like, someone's got to write this. And you're like, somebody, anybody gonna write it? No one does. It's up to me. Ice fishing, forgot about that one. Mangrove snapper. Oh, right, okay. Alright, we got a keyboard. I used to be a fishing addict. I really was. I would spend all my money on fishing. I loved fishing. You couldn't take me past a river or any sort of trickling water without me wanting to go fishing. I was a complete pain in the butt to my parents. I want to go fishing, I want to go fishing, I want to go fishing. To be fair, back then it was actually a useful thing to do because, you know, it was extra food on the table, so we're very happy to have that sort of thing. But the amount of money I spent on fishing was just terrible. And the worst thing about it all is that I was a terrible person. I just couldn't fish. I could catch small fish, I could catch snags. I was excellent at catching snags. I would not listen to what my father would tell me. But he sort of got the last laugh that on. He would constantly warn me not to walk down the rocks near the river because, yeah, the estuary rather, because, you know, they're unstable or slippery when the tide's gone out, stuff like that. I didn't listen. Anyway, one day I fell in. I didn't do that again after that. So, you know, I learnt my lesson. I didn't die, so I guess that's a win. But overall, no, I'm terrible at fishing. I read a lot of books about how to fish, how to do the knots, where to fish, how to look for the signs, what sort of baits do you... I read a lot. And I had a big collection of fishing books, but put me out there to actually do the fishing, and I sucked. I was terrible. I had no business fishing. Okay, at this point, we're going to see if we get a charge. Used to wake your grandpa up at 7 a.m. to go fishing. Why so late? Aren't you supposed to start fishing at 5 a.m. or something ridiculous? The biggest fish I ever caught, I didn't even use any tackle. All I did is I was up in the Northern Territory and in the Kakadu area, and I can't remember we were just getting into or just coming out of the wet season up there. And on our days off when we were working out well, I wasn't working, but I was a kid, but when they were working at the uranium mine up there, a lot of us would go out driving through Kakadu just to see what things were like. And there was a dirt road that split between two sides of a billabong, I think it was, or an estuary or something. And everyone was fishing on one side of this dirt road, and I was just gazing in the water on the other side of the road. And all of a sudden, this whopping great big fish just jumped straight out at me. I mean, we've got photos of it, and I'd say it would have been, let's call it 2 foot. And it just jumped out at me. And everyone's turning around, like, "Okay, put your foot on it, stop it," and all that. And I think my dad came over and secured it properly. But trying to think what it was. It wasn't tilapia, it was something else. But I think it was actually being chased by a crocodile, which is why it jumped out. And I just happened to be in the right spot. Did you used to keep fish as pets? Well, yes. Now that was something I was actually good at. I was very good at keeping fish in aquariums, and I made a lot of money from that. Enjoyed getting things like neon tetras or cardinal tetras to, you get them to spawn, and then you'd raise the babies and sell them off at the local fish store. And of course, this was back in the 80s, so at that point we didn't have a lot of imports of exotic fish. So getting something like cardinal tetras was rare. You'd see them maybe once a year, and they would cost a fortune, and they'd be in fairly bad shape usually. So to be able to take a couple of beat up cardinal tetras and then make several hundred out of that was, I enjoyed doing that a lot. Glow in the dark fishing, uh, it was a very nice place up in Jabiru in Northern Territory. I was young, but we went on a lot of walks. We camped a lot, spent a lot of time out there, went to Obiri Rock quite frequently. This was before it was really a tourist place, so you were able to walk through Obiri Rock and a lot of the other painting places. Uh, Obviously, you were told not to touch the paintings on the walls and the rock face, and no one really did. But shortly after we left there, which was at the start of the 80s, then the tourists all of a sudden started coming in, and before long they had to rope up everything to keep people from, people just be idiots and go up to this 10, 20,000 year old paintings and like go, look at this, I'm sticking my hand on it. Yeah, it's ruined them. Alright, S, thank you. When I was younger, I was fishing with my dad and caught a garfish. They're fun, weird critters to catch. I always found that you'd have to use like a float and have the bait maybe, 10 centimeters under the float. And you'd catch the garfish, and the damn things would just spin around and pretty much turn themselves into freshly cut sushi with the way they went for that fishing line. There are garfish in Australia, yeah. Or at least I think they're garfish. Whenever they usually like to come into the quieter water in the port. We'd find a lot of them in there. Okay, we're charging now, 2.4 amps, so we're on the... That's good. That's what I was waiting for, that current to come up. Thanks for the stream. Off to a braai in Johannesburg. You bastard. Getting to go to a braai. You gonna have poiki, pup and sauce, can of Hunters. Man, I miss those days. Boerewors. Damn it, now I'm hungry. Yeah. Why'd you have to do that to me? 20 years and I can still taste the goodness of a braai. Enjoy it, JCT. Alright, Warren, thanks. Roger Dodger, your father was in New Guinea during World War II and they went fishing with, and I'm going to assume that says grenades. Percussive fishing. Nasty. Okay, so that's going good. Alright, well that pretty much ties it up for tonight then. I know it hasn't really been... Well, we didn't even use the hot air other than, pulling off the back plate. We haven't tested to see if the keyboard works. Rivet. Okay, are you stalling or are you... Okay. Made me panic for a minute then because the keyboard didn't respond. Hey, Greg. Perfect. Everything's good. That's what I want. Let's see if everything else works. Oh, we better check to see if those microphones work, because they can become damaged also easily. Okay, microphone works. Hideous face cam works. Wi-Fi is working. Yep. Alright, Travis, thanks for being here. Speaker works. Brightness works. So it looks like we got a winner. Holy crap. Frames per second are pretty good. 33, 35. I saw 40 there for a second. What is in this thing? It's an i7. No, it's only 1.6 i5. I don't know, early 2015. That's pretty impressive. 30 frames per second. Thanks for that, Arnold. Oh, Hectech's back. Tried to build your keyboard tester, but it was failing on SDL even after installed the framework manually. Did you use... what is it? Brew to install it? Because usually I do Brew install SDL2. You also need SDL TTL, I think. You need the TrueType library. I think that might be what it's hanging up on. I don't know if I've got the source code here. Vim makefile. Yeah, you need the SDL TTF library as well. Without that, it will fail on the build. Brew isn't working to oh, brilliant. That's tough when you can't even get Brew. If you can't get Brew to run, then life is hell on a MacBook. I would not like to try do any of this without having Brew. Check phone, wife has sent you a message. Ooh, goody. I like it when she sends me messages. Ooh. Oh dear. Okay, we've got cat vomit to deal with. Marvellous. Alright. Looks like I'm going upstairs. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you very much for that. And might see you tomorrow. We've got some more keyboard work to do. We've got to do Jim's keyboard. And until then, you all take care. And I'll catch you when I see you next.